Do it.
What's up, everybody? Josh Tapp here again. Welcome back to the Lucky Titan. And today we're here with Dr. Travis Fox. That's the last time you hear us call him doctor. His name is Travis.
Yeah. Came with the spacesuit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Right? But I had nothing to do with
it. So Travis and I had a conversation. What was it, Travis? Like 4 days ago. Ended up talking for an hour. Didn't end up recording the interview because obviously he's a great guy. You guys are going to get a really good look into the different businesses they've done. This guy's been doing some pretty amazing stuff in the business sector in a way that what I would say is a real disruption to the business coaching industry, because ultimately business coaching is boring at best, So we try to find ways to spruce it up. I've done business coaching for years, and you try to make it more entertaining, but these guys have basically merged two of my favorite things, business and gaming, and put them into one place. And I'm pretty stoked to talk about that today. So Travis, first off, say what's up to everybody and we'll hop in, man.
Hey, thanks everyone. Thanks for letting me on the show again. Actually, the show the first time, but recording for a second time.
Exactly.
That was awesome. Yeah, man. Yeah, please. Yeah, the whole doctor thing is only for A, if I don't know you, or B, I want hotel reservations or dinner reservations. Beyond that, I'm like, oh, and I always tell people, when I finally learned the etymology of the word doctor, and my mentor is like, do you actually know what it means? I'm like, no. And he goes, well, look it up. Well, it comes from a Latin word that means teacher. I'm like, well, if I'm qualified enough to be called a teacher, then cool. If not, Travis is pretty good.
Well, and some people really care about those degrees. And so I do like to at least mention it for people. But if you're watching the video of this, you can obviously see the success this guy has had behind him here. Many, many awards that they've done. The one of the lady flexing is not of his, obviously, but yeah, this guy is a professional.
Let's talk about that. That was a whole transformation that we did in coaching, different type of coaching.
Exactly. Yeah. What I love, guys, these guys have done something that is just so unique, because I know I mentioned like it's gaming mixed with business coaching, but this isn't their first rodeo, right? You've done this in the fitness space. You've launched a supplement line. You guys have done some pretty big things in this space. But what I love is it's the approach, right? It's actually helping people get it done. So walk me through a little bit of the approach to how you guys have been doing that.
Yeah, let's go through that. So you said it best at the top of the show, and it's something we actually poke fun at. And I poke fun at myself because, I've been in this now for over 3 decades. And I too was one of those coaches, doctors, trainers, teachers, facilitators, whatever word you want to put, I don't care. Right. And same thing here. You know what, Josh, you can come train with me, but it's going to cost you $1 gazillion. Right. Because I'm a high ticket. I'm worth that. I'm like, what does my worth have to do with $1? But more importantly, what I discovered was it didn't correlate to results. It didn't matter what the price point was, because the way we learn, and this is we got over a half a century of data showing that the way we learn has nothing to do with cognition or cognitive awareness. So part of what we really looked at, and we did this about 2 years ago, and I sat down with our CEO and the board and said, in order for us to scale and make this for literally everyone, it has to have one common theme: fun. It's got to be fun. The closest thing that we can do to fun on scaling is make a game out of business, because really, reality check is truth. There is a scientific backing, and I'll show you that in a minute. But more importantly, every single one of us, again, I'm using generalities here, but on the planet, we spent the first basically 17 to 18 years of our life mastering how to have fun, imagination, being a kid, going out, doing it. We thought everything was possible. And then all of a sudden at 18, well, now you got to be an adult, Josh. You got to go figure out how to buy a car, get a lease, buy a house. And we have no training for that. We're absolutely stupid. Very few, maybe nowadays more so, but in my generation, we didn't. And I find that what ended up happening is we lost our zest for fun. And then we apply that to our business. We applied it to our kids. We applied it to our relationship, and we applied it to our personal body. And I'm through a really fancy clinical technique that's called reverse hypnotic thematic learning with synthesiastic movement. It's a really fancy way of saying, if I can put you in the fantasy realm, gameplay, you'll think it's a fantasy until it just shows up in your reality, because the sequencing issue of how humans learn has been the fundamental problem. And I was a part of that for over 2 decades, and really went, wait a minute, I'm perpetuating the same problem. And that's not leaving a legacy. And I thank you for the disruptive comment, because it is disruptive, but it's disruptive to the positive. It's disruptive to go, look, everybody wants to have fun doing it. I mean, let's be honest. The reason we all got into business, entrepreneurs, teachers, trainers, business leaders, CEOs, whatever title you carry, because you wanted freedom. Me too. I want to be able to walk away from my business, go surf somewhere in the middle of nowhere and not worry about it. But that's why we did it. The problem is our sequencing of how we learn all the way back to our educational system has fundamentally thrown us under the bus.
Right. Yeah. And I love that, because I mean, ultimately what it comes down to in today's market, right, is people look at what's working and they try to model it, but then a lot of times they're like, oh, I'm disrupting it by doing one little tweak. But what you're saying is let's merge two markets that ultimately have nothing to do with each other. I mean, realistically, right? Great gaming and business coaching. And in fact, most business coaches would be like, don't game. It's not good for you. Right. But like merging the two of them together into a relatable thing is what I really loved about it, because I don't, on our team, people will know this about us, is like our lunch breaks. I just got off one. We play Xbox. We all sit down, we play Xbox, we play games together, and the camaraderie we get from it shows Absolutely. In our business work, because we're all good friends. Right. And it pans out to be really, really amazing. So I love that you guys have been able to incorporate that directly into business. So walk us through a little bit of like, the how are you doing this with the app?
Great question. It is thank you for the compliment. And we do the same thing, by the way. And one of our key things that we do is we throw axes.
Love it.
We all throw axes, right? Because one of our partners is a true Viking. I mean, literally the whole thing. But and he taught us how to axe throw. And I'm like, that's a really cool thing, because it creates that focus, and we all do it together. And it's a beautiful, competitive, non-competitive thing to do for team building. But How we did it was we took all the science of what I do, the architecting side, and here's how the conscious, subconscious, and emotional part of you, the emotional trauma part of you works, belief structures, human dynamics, subconscious modeling, et cetera, which, like you said at the beginning of the show, boring.
Right. Big words.
Right? I've been in it 3 decades and I get bored, right? I'm like, right? But we also took the science of archetypal symbology. And a lot of people think that the hero's journey, which is amazing, really what Carl Jung really kind of brought to the forefront, is what business is. And it is from a certain point of view, if you understand the personality parts within your frame. Most don't. So what we did is we said, what if we put in a third party disassociation so you can see the behavior, but it's in a fantasy gameplay about you. It just doesn't feel like you. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to find out how you're going to play the game. Are you going to play it as a warrior, a wizard, a bard, or a jester? And the opening sequence within the app takes that quiz. It's a scientifically designed quiz. And how we tested that, I think, is equally important to know, is Aaron Huey, who developed that part of our system, spent the last 20 years running the #1 at-risk residential treatment center for teenagers in the United States. And he found that the only way he could get these kids to come back from sex trafficking, from drug abuse, from cutting, bulimia, anorexia, I mean, you name it. These are the kids that people just want to forget about. And they're like, their next step is either death or prison. That's it. And parents are desperate to figure it out. He found that the way that he could do it, and he started developing this whole system over 20 years. And there's 64 different archetypes within our system. And it's escalating, of course, so you don't get overwhelmed. But it made it fun. These kids are like, oh, I understand what warrior means. And warrior doesn't mean fight. Warrior means heart of the matter, the heart of your castle, right? And people think wizard. Well, wizard means this overthinking thing that keeps you up at night at 3 a.m. staring at the ceiling fan, which I've never been guilty of myself at all, ever, right? And then you have the bards, and people are like, well, bards, what are bards? Well, bards is the fancy way of saying thespians, actors, right? But how they relate to other people is a very key thing, because they're feelers. So they'll feel the audience and then they'll respond in that way. And it's not like, NLP, like ABTOG, and you're doing, rapport building. That's conscious, I'm talking about truly they feel. And then you have the jesters, and the jesters are the great advisory board members, because they really keep us on point, because they're not married to the materialism. They're not married to the clout. They're married to how many followers you have. They don't care about any of that crap. They care about the journey of life itself. So they're very good at being rudders for your business. And when you can look at that, and then within 2 questions go, got it. Josh is this, Josh is that. And it's not putting people in a box. It's immediate understanding, how is he processing at the moment I'm engaging with him, so we can have a better dynamic, right? And what ends up happening is, once you figure out, and a lot of people are like, well, I'm a warrior. And then they actually take the personality quiz and they find out they're a wizard or they're a bard. They're like, I am? I'm like, right away, there's your first disconnect of why your business might not be doing well with your sales or your HR or how you're conducting your social media. And then we take you through a journey, and it is an adventure. The whole thing is gamified. There's a leaderboard. We give cash prizes away for people to go and either add to their business or start the business, so they can go from founder to funding to fortune. And there's a 3-level escalation map, because we'll all play the games. Like you said, we'll play Xbox. But at the end of the day, unless you're a gamer for a living, like a Twitch or something along those lines, what's your end result? Well, you killed some time and you had some emotional experiences. But what if you could have some emotional experiences, use that time, and then take from the fantasy realm and it slams into your reality? All of a sudden your reality changes. Now we've changed this law of attraction, law of manifestation, et cetera, from the woo-woo to the reality check of how do we actually use it. And that's what it does.
Yeah. I've been waiting for somebody to launch something like this, ultimately to train people on how to do business, because like you said, there's about 10,000 different, maybe even more philosophies around business. But the truth is they all have like the same core things, and everybody tries to spice them up. Hence why I don't really interview a lot of coaches on here, because they're regurgitating Graciosi, Tony Robbins, Russell Brunson, and one of those. It's just regurgitating what they're saying.
All the way back to Freud, Mesmer. I mean, it's again, we're all standing on the shoulders of other great people.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like, I mean, there are new concepts and you can add into that. Not to say that it's bad to be a coach, but ultimately guiding people through that journey is huge, and helping people realize it's not as hard as they think it is. Because this is one of the things that sparked so much interest in me, and even partnering with you guys on this deal is like, I ultimately look at this as it's a way for people to eliminate that fear of business. Because people still ask me all the time, like, oh man, you have such a big risk tolerance. I'm like, no, I don't. I have a horrible risk tolerance. I don't go throw money at things unless it's like throwaway money, right? I'm not the kind of guy who's just going to go out and just blatantly toss money to the wind or whatever.
Yeah, you're a wizard. When you come to business, you're a wizard. You can tell anybody listening to you, can tell. And that's a beautiful thing. Because we understand that wizardry is geniuses of our world. I'm not stroking you, Josh. We've had
we know each other long.
Let's be right, because I'm a wizard too when I'm in doctor mode. But when I'm in Travis mode, I'm more bard warrior. And that's because if it doesn't hurt for me, I don't get involved. But the wizard in you can look at it and go, I got it. There's the flaw. Here's the problem with wizards, though. And this is where wizards need to learn to get out of wizardry and develop a fully balanced king and queen of your business in your life. Is that wizards are designed to find the flaw because they're geniuses in our world. They solve problems. They make us go to the moon and Mars and all the electric cars and crazy, but they always find the flaw. So once they find the flaw, then they find the next one and the next one and the next one. And that's called the infinite loop. And that infinite loop is what this puppy, our brain at a conscious level, loves to do. And that's how we end up with, staring at the ceiling fan all night. And even in business, we do the same patterns. We just change characters and environments if you don't shift who you are. But here's the thing, and go all the way back to our education. We're not taught how to manage us ever. You have to figure that out through the school of hard knocks. Good luck. That's a challenging way to do it. And gaming made it fun, because let's be candid. Everybody wants to have fun, and you can never run out of it. No one can take it from you. You can never, I need to get a loan for more fun. You can generate fun, whatever you do. So now you know that you're already wealthy. And your brain's going to go, but no, I'm not. I'm like, you actually are. You're just defining wealth from an external thing versus the assets that you already have. And when you have it in a fun way, what ends up happening is you learn faster. And it's been clinically proven over the last 5 decades that when we put you in a fun, emotional state, you absorb. You literally absorb it. But if I put you in a seminar and say, Josh, we're going to spend 5 hours and 3 days together, and we're going to do, all these exercises, you're going to write a bunch of crap down that 2 seconds after you walk out the door, you're going to forget. And you're never going to actually apply to yourself. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. It's got to be fun. That's the reason why every single one of us, we went to school, we wanted recess more than we wanted class. No one cared. No one cared about class. I mean, maybe somebody did. I'm even generalizing, of course, but reality check, we love recess. We love sports. We love after school. That's why they're in there, is it gives us that balance. And so I love that you said that. And it's even more so what makes it fun is we went through the entire adventure. When we actually sat and created, we're like, what do we go through in business? What have we gone through? We even put our own business through ourselves and said, well, what all things we've gone through. And when we start looking at fears, how many times have we all heard, hey man, you just got to get over fear of public speaking. You got to get over your fear. Well, how the hell do you do that? Get over what? Is it a mountain? Is it a thing I got to jump over? What do you mean get over it? Even in my realm and back in the psych side, I'm like, I don't know how you get over crap. I've never figured it out. I know how to deconstruct it though. What I do know is that a sequencing issue we've all been hypnotized by. And I'm not talking victim status or martyr status. I'm talking about bona fide hypnosis into conformity of mind, body, spirit in that order. That's how we're supposed to handle our life. And we've heard it so much that we're not paying attention that we've actually auto-hypnotized ourselves. And so part of my waking up moment when I was around 32, I was like, wait a minute, it's a sequencing issue. Because if I start with my mind can't solve itself. It doesn't know how. It knows all my pitfalls. It's the one that I set up to protect my heart and my emotions from feeling the things I don't want to feel anymore, commonly called guardians. So I'm asking it to solve itself. And even Einstein said that which created the problem can't solve it. So that's why most people go, you got to get your mindset right, Josh. You got to get your mindset, bro. You got to get mind. Well, who gives a shit what your mind's doing? Because your mind's the problem. It can't change from an outside in, but very rare does that do it. And then that affects our body, because then our body's like, well, what do I do with all these emotions and all this stress and this cortisol and all of these things that I'm not going to, we gain weight, we get out of shape, we get out of balance, which then affects our relationships, it affects our friendships, affects being a parent, right? It affects even our energy, how we feel. And then you drop it down and go to spirit, as though spirit is a third party thing. I'm like, yeah, my spirit. Well, if you listen to the phraseology of that, my spirit is a possession, my spirit. Well, who's possessing your spirit? So that means there's two of you in the room already. That's a problem.
Yeah.
So take all that out of the equation. And when you avatar and you come through it, and I'm not talking about role playing, I'm talking about being, because you already are. You already are a wizard. You're already a warrior, bard, jester, whichever one you are. It's about balancing the other parts of your archetype so that you can ascend. Because every king and queen of a business, of a castle, of a kingdom, empire, whichever analogy you'd like, always has the ability to call upon their warriors, always has the ability to call on their bards, their messengers, their ambassadors to go send the message into the realm, to the people, into other kingdoms. And three, it always has the wizards that are up in the spires, creating, gunpowder or creating the next paper or the next ballpoint pen, whatever they're creating. And so when you look at that, you can customize your company culture. You can immediately change your sales because you see how people move and you can talk to them language. And now we can go work on your fear of public speaking. Now we can work on your fear of public speaking. So the sequencing that you go through on this massive adventure called the Ultimate Business Quest actually makes it fun. And guess what? In the palm of your hand. So it's not like you have to go to a seminar. You have to deal with whatever the travel issues you may or may not deal with. You don't deal with that junk, because this is on you 24 hours a day. So let's make it something that everyone can have. And then for me, my biggest part, Josh, I think you and I have talked about this before, is I was one of those high ticket guys. I mean, look, I hold myself accountable. I'm not disrespecting my fellow coaches or teachers or trainers. And I get it. Sometimes you're higher priced because there's just too much volume, but that's a scalability issue in my opinion. So by putting the price point at a place where everybody can have it, and understanding that in the United States alone, our GDP is run by 80% of people making less than $1 million a year gross, not net, gross. They need the help because that boosts the entire country and ultimately now the globe. And that's really our philosophy and our legacy that, at least for me being the old guy in the group, if I, kind of throw my age out, being the old guy going, I'm in the legacy phase, man. I want everyone to go change their business. And I want to leave this behind for my kids and go, hey, your dad was kind of a knucklehead here and there, but she left something behind that actually helped change people's lives. Because I'm addicted to the drug of change. I love watching people go, dude, I did it. And you did it. I'm like, I didn't do shit. I just guided you. I'm a quest guide. You did the work. You don't climb to the top of Kilimanjaro because I carried you on my back. You did every step just like I did. I just guided you where you might want to step and some things you're going to want to look at as you go up. And that's a really cool drug. Now, other, I know that's a terrible thing to say about drug addict, but I'm a drug addict to that drug because it's such an endorphin pop when someone you can see they bona fide have changed their business, changed their life. I'm addicted to it. I've been addicted to it since I was 19. So this is what that's about.
Yeah. And I love to see that, because that change ultimately, like you're saying, I mean, you just spoke on such a high level. And that's one of the reasons I wanted to bring you on the show, is because I feel like when we're doing business, we get so in the realm of my niche, but like, look at it as how do you raise the economy in one go, and that's, right. I think you guys are doing something spectacular by doing that.
Thank you. Thanks, man.
So you touched on this a little bit, but you and I had this conversation last week, and I thought it was really interesting because you talked about mind, body, spirit, right? And you said it's a sequencing issue, but you're saying start body first, right? That was the one that you were telling me, start body first and work your way. So why that order? And then how do you make that happen?
Okay. So one of the things that we do really well to ourselves, especially you wizards out there. So all you wizards out there who love to just beat yourself to death up here with all the stuff. And you guys would know that as a common limiting belief system. It's not limiting, it's a belief system. There's nothing limiting about it, it's just a belief system. But that sounds even better if we put a limit on it. Okay.
Right.
At the end of the day, we're really good at kicking our own butt. I mean, I know when I was younger and 20 and 30 years old, I had a black belt at kicking Travis's ass. I was good at it. I mean, I could stand on stage and tell everybody how great and amazing they were. And I go backstage and go, the microphone sucked. I missed my time in the queue. I tripped over the wedge. I came off stage and like an idiot. I just railed myself. And it was a self-value issue, but self-value isn't here. Self-value is down here at the emotional trauma level. It's held down here. So we want results instantaneously. And if we don't get them, especially in today's world, if we don't get them, my lander doesn't hit and my conversions aren't 89%, I'm out. I'm going to the next thing. I'm like, wait a minute, stop. The reason you're not getting results is we're not crystal clear on where we're going. For one, I know where you think you want to go, but two, if you're not getting the results, that it triggers all of those things that we haven't dealt with. The body is the quickest way to get tangible results, get mastership of yourself, and do this beautiful thing that one of our deep, deep dear friends and head coach over in the Ultimate Body Quest, Tom Twilliger. I mean, this guy's, Mr. America, he competed in Mr. Olympia. I mean, he's the real deal. But what he always talks about is body rapport. And when you hear body rapport, your brain goes, I know my body. What are you talking about, John? I mean, I know my arm does this. What are you talking? I'm like, no. Being able to make like that muscle. And when you're doing it, literally, let's say you're doing, a front lateral raise, I'm focused so much on that muscle. What it does is it trains the wizard to be crystal clear about what you're focused on. That translates immediately into your business. Two, you're going to have a better feel for your body. You're going to start to understand. And guess what, kids? When we're working out, even if it's doing light work, I don't care if you're doing 3 pounds. It doesn't matter the weight. It's not about that. It's about finding where you have put blocks in the dungeon of you, the dungeon of your castle. And we all have them. You know them as things like guilt, shame, resentment, not good enough, never living up to my potential. Dad said this and mom said that. My ex said this, and you've absorbed it. We know clinically now that the body does absorb energy and it holds it. So if we're not working those energies out subconsciously, as that energy comes up, it hits our subconscious, it activates all the other experiences you've had. And then your conscious mind looks at the world that way. So even when you go out and you put on the, you got to go out and put your game face on, Josh, and you doggone it, people like you, blah, blah, blah. But up the underneath, you're pissed off and you may not even know what you're pissed off about. It shows up and people will go, man, Josh, it sounds really good, but something doesn't feel right. I can't put my finger on it, bro. Maybe it's just the timing thing. Remember, there's always levels of conversation going on. There's the conscious, the subconscious, and your emotional traumatic are all happening simultaneously, but we're so, and well said, micro-focused on niche. We think that the conscious mind is the one that's actually running the show, and it's not. It's not even close. And yet, in even worse cases, we know that the conscious mind isn't running the show, and we still do it. Hi, my name is Travis. I'm an idiot. I've done it too. So what this is about isn't going, you're doing it wrong. It's we've all been educated into a conformity system that takes the beautiful misfit that you judge yourself and kick yourself in the butt about and go, whoa. Josh, the misfit in you is your mastership. And that's the adventure we need to go on because we need to reorganize. But we can't do it in that system of mind, body, spirit, because if you do that, you will never get past your mind and you will literally drive yourself a little bit goofy. And people do. We've all done it. We've all gone neurotic.
Yeah. Well, and I wish we could dive into this for hours because that to me is ultimately, the issue. We can put whatever label we want on it. I know in business, it's people use the NLP or they'll say, oh, it's your offer or whatever. I usually say offer is like, that's the problem, but it's coming down to that, right? It's like, if you're not confident in it doesn't even matter how good the offer is. If you're not confident enough in it to be able to stand on stage and talk about it or whatever, like you're really not in it.
If I may, let's go the other way. It doesn't even have to be with your confidence. If you have the authenticity, go, Josh, you know what? I really want to do this business. I don't know everything about it. I know this is what feels right. I need someone like you to come help me and own it. Instead of trying to say you got the solutions. Because if you had all the solutions, then what the hell do you need partners for?
Right.
I mean, that's what I love about our company and our board and our advisory board. Everybody knows their mastership. And it's like, hey, when Tom's talking, everybody shuts up. Anybody else been on Mr. America? No, shut up. Cool. Because that's the master talking. Anyone know archetypes better than Aaron? Nope. Aaron, talk. Or when Michelle talks, anybody know coding? Nope. Shut up. And it's not a shut up from a dominion or power. It's respect and admiration to go, dude, I really love watching you do your thing. And now all of a sudden the wheel starts to turn because I'm an old showman. P.T. Barnum was one of my biggest influences when I was a kid, because I always said, well, how do you build something that's 110 years old and not have the internet and have phones and all these other things? How do you do that? And his famous quote was, the most noble of art was making people happy. And somewhere along my career, I realized I don't know how to make people happy. Heck, half the time I didn't know how to make myself happy. So who the hell am I to talk about it? But what I do know how to do is to make people have fun, because I've been on stage my whole life and I love watching fun, because when we're in fun, the wars and the COVID and stresses, they stop for a minute and we can reset. That's going from here, and then it works its way back up. And now we can change belief systems. And this thing up here immediately falls in line because the king, the subconscious, or the queen, the subconscious goes, this is what you're looking for in the world. You can do an AVK model, auditory visual kinesthetic NLP. I'm an NLP master trainer, but guess what? It's not a behavior modifier. It's a behavior identifier. It identifies patterns at a top level. But down here, the belief structures is where we need to be. But if I take you down that road and go, Josh, we need to work on, this or that, you go,
right,
you're done, you're gone, you're out. But if I say, you know what, we're gonna go take this fantasy gameplay over here, and here's the things and the puzzles you're gonna solve, and these are the adventures you're gonna go on. Guess what happens? Your subconscious reorgs it all by itself on the design that it was designed to do. And that's when it gets cool, because now all of a sudden their imagination pops open, and that ability to have fun on demand shows up. And now the culture changes, sales changes, HR changes, everything changes, even the family dynamic and the body, even body becomes fun again, making health fun again. Because again, without your health, who cares what you're doing in business? Who cares? Ask Steve Jobs. Ask Steve Jobs.
Yep. And you watch that over and over and over and over again too. So I love to see the patterns. I'm a patterns guy, obviously being the wizard, I guess. I was going to go take the test, but you just solved it for me, man.
Oh, there you go. Well, you never know. You might take it that day and you're like, no, I'm going to be a bard. I don't care what Travis says. I'm going to be a bard.
Yeah, I'm a bard.
I'm a podcast host, and I got a successful, I'm a bard. Oh,
hey, when I play games, I'm always the wizard. So there it is. That or the archer. I like being the archer. Too bad there's not an archer.
Same concept. Pull, aim, look, then shoot. Even wizards, they'll sit there and they'll aim. Warriors just go up and go, boom, shoot, boom, shoot, boom, shoot. And those are powerful when you start to translate, a warrior can actually be our salespeople. They're our operations guys, right? Or, our wizards are the ones that are doing our analytics. They're our CFO. When you get into those things, now all of a sudden you're not hiring to a resume. You're hiring to the person, to their natural mastership skill. Holy crap. And you know this as well as I do, and even better. Company culture will make or break a company, regardless of its product.
Right.
I've been a part of both sides, and I've watched. It didn't matter how good our product was. Our company culture was in combative space. It didn't work. The conflicting personalities. It was like trudging through mud uphill in an ice storm. Nobody wanted to do it. Whereas when you have a company culture, all of us are friends. Like you said, we're friends. We hang out. We throw axes together. We travel together. We shoot together. We film together. We do all these things together because we enjoy the mastership of each other. Right. But we also understand that each one of us is also dumb as a brick in other areas. And that's why we turn to each other and go, Josh is the wizard, not me. I'm a bard. I'm over here, dude. Talk to the whiz. Whiz, what do we need to do? And then everybody has their marching orders. And now all of a sudden, like the great phalanx, we all move in the same direction together. And you're all looking in the same direction. You're not looking left or right, which is where company cultures fail, in my opinion. You're all looking in the same direction. And it's not kill or be killed or dog eat dog. It's like, no, quite the opposite. We're just going to move and snowplow the road and open up so everybody behind us can go become successful with their business or their body, whichever quest they're on.
Yeah, and I love that. And honestly, everybody, you should go check out. So the app can be downloaded at ultimatebusinessquest.com. I just about messed the URL up again. ultimatebusinessquest.com. Make sure you go check that out. And then, Travis, just to kind of wrap this interview up, if you could give us one final parting piece of guidance, what would it be?
Oh, very simple. I'll quote Alan Watts, who's far more intelligent than I'll ever be. Life doesn't define your death. Death defines your life. Death is imminent. Life is a choice. And so as Alan said, when you take a moment, and this is the scariest thing you'll ever do. And I've done it multiple times, and it is scary, but it does create clarity. Contemplate that one day you'll go to sleep and you'll never, ever, ever wake up in this body, ever, ever again. And it will immediately pop out all of your fears, and you can look at them and see where you're stopping yourself from truly living. And then from that moment, make everything you do fun, because fun, time flies when you're having fun. Everybody wants to be a part of something fun, and somebody wants to be part of something that's really changing the world in a fun way. Make it fun, even when it doesn't look like it. Ask yourself, how can I make this fun right now? And breathe and listen. It'll pop right up. Your subconscious, oh, this is how we're going to do it. Blah, 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 and it happens that fast.